There are certain things in our lives that end up trajecting our lives in a completely different way than we anticipated it. So in today's video, I want to talk about self-help books that have completely changed my life and has completely made me change the way I think about things, the way I move, and just things that have made me open up my eyes more of really examining where I was going with my life versus where I now want to go with my life, and how that has tremendously impacted me for the better. The first book is Think and Grow Rich. To be honest, I was never someone who enjoyed reading. I hated reading. Like, I was a person in school that did the SparkNotes version, and it wasn't until I learned about personal development where I was like, oh wow, like these are books that actually like could help me in my own life. And one of the first books that I ran across was Think and Grow Rich. It reminds you that it doesn't matter where you start, it's how you think about yourself and what you believe about yourself that could end up having you progress towards a life that you want. Like, no one could control the circumstances that they're born into, but you can control like how you finish your life. And for someone who came from a middle class background, I really thought whatever society you were born into, whether you were born in upper class, middle class, or lower class, like I thought that that was your destiny. It sounds dumb, but I literally thought that I was born into middle class. I'm supposed to stay middle class, go to have a job and contribute to society, retire when I was 65. I wasn't happy about it, but I just thought that that was the direction of my life because that's what I saw everyone around me doing. And it wasn't until my boyfriend, we were just friends at the time, ended up telling me he was starting a business, to then it opened up my eyes of realizing that these are things that I can do too. And it changed my whole perspective of what I was doing and what I was actually aiming for, because I was a very, very anxious person, and it definitely showed in my health because I had a lot of gut issues. And it wasn't until, like, number one, I prioritized the type of foods that I was eating, but also when I started feeling like I had much more control over my life and much more control over what I wanted and versus what I didn't, then it gave me less anxiety. So one book that really had opened my eyes a lot was Think and Grow Rich, because it just reminds you that just because you're born into a specific circumstance, it doesn't mean that that is where you end up. It's dependent on what you believe, it's dependent on what you think, it depends on how you show up, because once you change the way you think, you change what you believe. Once you change what you believe, you change how you act. The second book is Atomic Habits. Atomic Habits is a really good book if you're someone who's trying to create better habits for yourself, because it helps you realize that the goal isn't to just change overnight, and it's also going to be days where you may backtrack or you may not complete it the same way, in the same way that you would want to, but it's those little things that you do every day of showing up that create that habit to stick. And I think a lot of us underestimate how strong we are attached to our habits. And what that book does is really remind you that you're still human and you're still gonna have to learn yourself, but is realizing of working things in your favor rather than trying to work against yourself to accomplish a specific goal. And the last one is The Secret. So there are just certain things that I've learned, and one thing is really watching the words that I say and also paying attention to my thoughts and paying attention to the things that I believe, because I truly started to realize the power of our minds and the power of the universe. So what my interpretation of The Secret is that we are the creator of our own lives. I think many times we think that we have no control over the direction of our lives and where we go. But one thing that I've started to realize is that anything that I've truly wanted has always come into fruition. Even though it comes to me at a later time, it always ends up coming to me. And I've started to realize that things don't come to us in the time frame that we want it, but if we are aligning with what we want and we are aligning with that type of thing and we're doing the things, the active steps to get there, then eventually it comes to us. And I think sometimes we underestimate our ability to create our own futures because we see things going on in the world, we see this happening, we see that happening, and then we live more out of fear rather than creating something of a life that we truly enjoy. And so one thing that I've learned about The Secret is just aligning with the universe in the way that you want things to come to you rather than focusing on things that aren't working. Because if you're constantly focusing on the negative, all you're going to see is negative and all you're going to attract is negative. Even if you say you don't want something, you're still talking about that one thing that you don't want. You're still going to have the universe align that to you. So one thing that I've started to really do is pay attention to my words and pay attention to my thoughts, because I've started to realize that if I just focus on the things that I want, if I just focus on this is what I would like in my life, this is what I want more of, then I tend to get those. And it may not happen in a way that I expected, but it does tend to happen. But if I also focus on my health not going a certain way or my income not going a certain way, then I'm going to attract that. When I constantly thought about the fact of me going broke when I left my job, eventually I was at the point where I was about to go broke. But when I start to pay attention to, okay, this is what I would like in my life, this is what I would like in my life, then I started attracting those type of things as well. So one thing that I've really enjoyed about The Secret is realizing that you are the creator of your life, and anything you say has a direct proportion to the life you end up living and the life you end up having. So those are the 4 books that have significantly impacted my life. I hope this video was helpful of you just also realizing how much control you have in creating the life that you want to live and the life you want to have. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Definitely let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.